that guy in this organization or something.
Oh, I don't think anyone's that meticulous.
Oh, well, they're that malevolent. That guy in this organization or something. So,
Oh, I don't
like
think
what's going on in American politics?
Well,
they're tearing down. Can't hold people responsible for things that were legal 200 years ago. Guy in this organization or something. So,
I don't
like
think
what's going on in American politics? Well, they're tearing down. Got an echo.
Yeah,
Okay.
I shut it off.
Okay. In America, they're saying, oh, in the Civil War, they did this. Things were legal then that are not legal now. But alcohol was there was prohibition. Now it's legal. Then they may make it illegal. So they could, think standards were different even 10 years ago than they are now. And they're saying, oh, they hold something against you. It's usually done acrimoniously.
Acrimoniously means?
With evil intent.
Oh. Well, you won't find any evil amongst this little group.
No, but somebody can find a YouTube someday.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope whatever benefit this is, we can accurately gauge the benefit, that people are genuinely appreciative of.
ISKCON is the greatest ISKCON that ever was. One hell of an organization. And that GBC is the best BC that ever was.
I wouldn't know because I've never been a member.
I've been in touch with Rupanuga lately, and he said
he lives right down the street from me.
Yeah, he said Prabhupada made him one of the first GBCs.
Wow.
Yes. So
what else?
Yes.
What else he said? What else did you talk about that's can be made public now for the world to know?
Yeah, there's one essay I've not explored yet by him, which is called Controversy Theory. And I asked him to send me that next. Let's see. Robert Corrins. Yeah, I've been asking him questions, and he's been answering them. Yeah, so there's one letter that Prabhupada wrote to Karandar for managers. This was in 1973. All our managers should be spiritually advanced, simple and honest in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master and Krishna. That will be a nice standard. Democracy in spiritual affairs is not at all good, but breeds power politics. We should be careful about power politics. Our only aim should be that each and every devotee is fully dedicated to Krishna, then things will go on nicely. And so Nitya Leela sent me this letter, and she asked me, I want to understand, why is a monopoly endorsed by Srila Prabhupada? And I sent that to Rupanuga Prabhu, and he sent me this letter, which he gave me permission to share with the public. And he says that in this letter, Srila Prabhupada is not endorsing quote unquote monopoly, which is a business term implying competition and opportunism, exclusive control, etc. He is endorsing a parampara system of quote unquote carrying out the orders of the spiritual master, or disciplic succession, transparent, medium, simply and honestly. That is certainly quote unquote sattvic, as you say. His orders to the GBC, Karandar, were to travel and see how the devotional standards are being followed.
Let me get my hammer. Wait, let me get my hammer.
Your hammer? What? He calls that a quote unquote nice standard. carrying out the orders. Can you hear? Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, this makes it feel better.
What? I don't know what's going on. I'm just reading from his letter.
Yeah.
He calls that a nice standard, quote unquote, carrying out the orders. Now, the thing is, it was a voluntary service, not forced labor or a means of livelihood. If the leaders are carrying out the orders of Srila Prabhupada in a simple and honest way, setting example and persuading others with logic and reason also, there is peace. He wanted a constitution to embody voluntary service with clearly delineated responsibilities according to Varna and Ashram.
We could be singing Gopinath, you know?
Well,
True.
you asked me what he wanted to say, and I'm reading it.
Well, I didn't know you were going to read a whole.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done.
Good. Oh, great.
I just,
This
I
is
did-
like nectar. See, the important words there are if, should, try to. These are all suggestions.
I mean, this is a
And
very
it's up to the devotee to understand what does the spiritual master want and what do I want.
right. Here he says,
And from a lack of faith in Krishna, Krishna will always maintain me.
right.
And the feeling of, well, I'm working so hard, I should be paid. I should get something in return, but I don't want anything in return. But then I don't get anything in return.
Here, this interesting point he's making, he wanted a constitution to embody voluntary service. The thing is, that constitution has been just now coming for 44 years. It's still not completed. I guess you heard of
the
it.
people to
Huh?
create a more perfect government.
He says that was the law and order. He points out that democracy is not for spiritual affairs, which are based upon spiritual standards. We are now witnessing how democracy allows immorality, pedophilia, animal killing, violence to breed and continue without purified leaders, what to speak of, quote unquote, in God we trust. Instead, we have a Rakshasa management allowing this Kali Yuga world, which is by nature cruel and chaotic for the masses. As I wrote elsewhere, it is an epic karmic countdown going on. Srila Prabhupada clearly states that the aim of leadership is to encourage or to see how to facilitate an atmosphere whereby each and every devotee is fully dedicated to Krishna. Then things will go on nicely. There is an art here, described to Karandar elsewhere, to see how a devotee is engaged according to a psychophysical nature, so that such devotee will see chanting and devotional principles as part of his work. I have written a paper entitled Controversy Theory, which explains how whenever an instruction of Srila Prabhupada is contravened, neglected, ignored, revised, a controversy is automatically created. That is why neglecting the orders of the spiritual master is an offense to the holy name, because the infallibility of those orders guarantees peace and eventual success of full dedication to Krishna. Now, obviously, a democratic process cannot ensure that, but breeds competition, power politics, which, as we are now seeing, results in genocide and fraud when there is zero spiritual, even moral leadership. He finishes to say, so Srila Prabhupada is not endorsing a monopoly, a material concept. He is endorsing a sampradaya, a community, based upon parampara, disciplic succession, as embodied in Srila Prabhupada Vani, the instructions of a genuine empowered world acharya. Anyway, this is my opinion. I believe difficulties arise when the infallibility of Srila Prabhupada Vani is overlooked. Srila Prabhupada had to assert how could he make a mistake? He was only always preaching Krishna consciousness, no mistake. He was completely free of the 4 defects. He never cheated anyone, nor changed Vaishnavism. He taught, quote, inconceivably, simultaneously one and different, unquote, the most elevated concept of relationship to God, comprehensible to the human mind, all over the world. Therefore, he is the world acharya. I hope I've answered your question well enough. If not, if there's further doubt, then let me know. Well, there you go. Amen. Welcome, Siddhanta Prabhu. Dandavat pranams to you.
Haribol.
There you go, Siddhartha.
That's
That's right.
are you studying your books?
I'm studying my editing. That's my meditation.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know
Maestro,
what
shall
I
I?
don't know what your topic was.
Gora's going to read a few pages of the congressional record now.
Mhm.
Ha ha ha. Okay. Shall I call up Gurudev Kripa Bindu Dia?
I thought, yeah,
Okay. There it is on the screen. I
because
could.
Friday is Guru Purnima.
Ah,
And
Oh.
it's they said 72 hours, but now they made it 64 hours. There'll be a
okay.
lot of speakers. Sridhandi Maharaj will probably be on there.
Okay.
So,
Here we are from the Sharanagati.
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Dia Koroe Dase Trina Pekayoti Hina Sakala Sahane Bolo Dia Koro Nijamane Sprihahina Sakale Samano Kodite Shokoti Dehonata Jota Jota Tabe Togaibo Harina Morsuke Aporada Hobe Hoto Kobe Hano Kripa Lobhia Ejan Kritarta Hoibe Nato Shakti Buddhihin Namioti Hidin Koromore Atmasata Jogata Bichare Kichuna Hipai Tomara Koruna Sara Koruna na hoile kandia prana na rakivo aro. Gurudev, O spiritual master, give to this servant just one drop of mercy. I am lower than a blade of grass. Give me all help. I gotta get rid of this. Give me all help. Give me strength. Let me be as you are, without desires or aspirations.
I offer you all respects, for thus I may have the energy to know you correctly. Then by chanting the holy name in great ecstasy, all my offenses will cease.
When will such mercy fall to this one who is weak and devoid of intelligence? Allow me to be with you.
If you examine me, you will find no qualities. Your mercy is all that I am made of. If you are not merciful to me, I can only weep, and I will not be able to maintain my life.
Here's the breakdown. Trenapeka.
And learn Bengali this way.
Ah,
Bengali's about 80. Oh, good. Bengali's about 80% Sanskrit.
I see. I didn't
And
know
they
that.
they still spoke that way when I was there in the 70s. I don't know now. I couldn't read newspapers though. They were very modern terms and idioms used. But when I spoke in the Chaitanya Charitamrita version, and it's still understood.
Nice.
It's not as, I mean, the difference between Shakespearean English and today's English completely very difficult. You can put that up again. Let's see if you want to read those word for word. There's Hawaii.
Sure.
Aloha. Aloha Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Nirhari.
Aloha Hare Krishna. Gurudev. Kripa
Aloha, Hare
Bindu.
Krishna.
Bindu is a drop of mercy. Dia, give. Koram, to make, to do. Eda, say this servant. Trina Pekka, a blade of grass. Atihin, Ati is very often in Sanskrit. Atihin, very low and humble. Sakala, all, Sahane, all these troubles. Balaram, give me strength. Koro, to make Nijamane, my personal honor. Spriha, free from all. Sakali Samman, honoring all, giving respect to everyone. Bodhite to do. Shakti. So here they've broken up for poetic or musical. It's Shakti, but it's broken up into Shakti. Deha, give Nath, oh Lord. Yata Yata, befittingly. What is proper? Jay Jata Mang Prabhupada, like that. Yata Yata. Yata Tata. Tabe, then Tabeto, certainly very Gaibo, I will sing, Gan, Harinama Sukhi, just like Susukam Kartamabhyam, Aparada, we know that, Habe will be, future tense, Pata, finished. When will my aparats be finished? Then pure name will come. Kavi, when, Hano, how, well, that means however, such mercy, kripa, labhya, to obtain. Age on this one, kritartha, fulfilled. Artha, we know is something of value. Hoibe, well, that's future tense. Nata, O Lord. Shakti, here it's Shakti Buddhihin. I'm devoid of strength and intelligence. Those are all Sanskrit words. Ami, I mind. Atidin, very fallen. Koro, to make me. Atmasat, your beloved servant. That I don't see the Sanskrit in that. Yogyata vichara, examining my worth. Get you not have nothing. By to find tomara yours. Now tomar is we have like thee and thou. So this tomar is the way you speak to the Lord. Apni is the way you talk to a gentleman. So tomar is talking to the Lord and talking to someone who is Lord, but you're very close to. You're talking to him in a kind of familiar way, although you know he is Lord. We don't kind of have that in English, but you don't say Mr. Prabhupada. Okay. Thou, you know. Karuna sar, yeah, mercy is essential. Sar also means the ultimate. Karuna nahoya, if no mercy, karuna. Kandiya, kandiya, weeping, kandiya. Prana, my life force, pran. Narakibo, not rock, to protect. Any longer, no more. Ara.
Rock. There's a day in India, of course, Prabhupada never really taught, but I guess it's part of Vedic
They
culture.
tie a
Right.
Raki on you.
Banda,
They do that in Singapore.
Rock.
It's the brothers and sisters, brothers tie that, sisters tie that on their brothers, that the brother will protect them.
Obeisances to Hari Nandapatni Prabhu's. Hare Krishna. Good to see you.
Prabhu's. Hare Krishna. I have my phone on.
I miss my family. My cyber family. Acyutananda Prabhu will be speaking for Guru Purnima. Is it on Thursday that you're speaking, Acyutananda Prabhu?
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And now they told me it's 5:40 p.m. And now I sent you a thing. If you scroll down, you'll see the time. But all those times are London time, so you have to figure out. Is it 7 hours? But Eastern Standard Time, 5:40. But the meeting actually starts at 3 tomorrow. There'll be kirtan, just at kirtan. I don't know if there'll be speakers, but there'll be many speakers. I'm sure Tridandi Maharaj will have a time, but that might be in that list.
Okay, but
of speakers and their times.
Starts at 3 and you're at 5:40.
5:40. So there'll probably be. I don't think they're going to have a 2-hour kirtan really, but the people, the husband and wife who are doing the kirtan are also very, very good speakers.
I know them, Kishori Mohan and Sudevi. Yeah, I met them.
Yes, I know them.
The
Since
son,
they were little.
The son of Matila Dish Prabhu. And I don't know who she is. I don't know whose daughter she is. Yeah.
Her mother's a disciple of Rameshwar. Her mother's a disciple of Rameshwar, but she's very nice. She spends a lot of Hare Krishna. She spends a lot of time in Vrindavan. Her Sudevi's mother.
Okay.
And Sudevi had as the model Voluntary. She always tells, you know, she trained since she was little, singing the songs that Voluntary composed.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And Kishori Mohan went on since he was very little from Los Angeles. And when we got married and we did the stage, there was a side stage. So it was a principal stage and there was a side stage. The principal stage of Rath Yatra was dealing with more traditional, usually with Bharatanatyam time. And we would play songs in English and like that, and some and bhajans too. So we brought Kishore Mohan. He was a teenager, and we brought him up on stage. And also we recorded. We have in Nishinga prayers recorded at the studio, and kirtan recorded by an engineer that put our album together, a Los Angeles sound engineer.
Your picture is shaking. Are you holding a phone or?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Let me see.
It's
Maybe I
making
can.
me cockeyed. Or is there an earthquake there?
Yeah, they had.
I always worry about people in Hawaii or LA that there's going to be a mudslide.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting what you were saying, Prabhu Acyutananda, about Bengali. It has two forms of address, or even three, I believe.
Oh, and then there's four. There's baby talk.
Right.
There's thing. So if a gentleman talks to another, says "Kikorachis," that's talking to a baby. That's a big insult.
Yeah.
So there's baby
So,
talk.
but Prabhupada would address Bhakti Pragyan Krishna as Tui.
Yeah, Tui is baby talk.
Right. And then, but in Spanish, you have usted and tú. There's two ways to address only.
I don't understand. Prabhupada talked to Bhakti Pragya Keshav Maharaj with baby talk?
Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur.
Oh. Saraswati Thakur spoke to our Prabhupada in the baby talk.
No, to our uncle, actually Prabhupada's godbrother, Bhakti Pragyan, Sannyas Guru of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, I met him in '67, and I'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Very nice.
I might be the only one alive that saw him.
Siddhanta Prabhu definitely should have gotten that one from you.
Well,
yesterday was Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj appearance day.
Oh, we were buddies.
Oh, and Kishore Mohan was speaking I couldn't get the audio. He was speaking at Gopinath Bhavan. We have, we live there. We have a place there. And but the audio wasn't happening. Siddhanti Maharaj spoke too.
He's here now.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, we'll get to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya here. We're on chapter 22. And the title of this chapter is Why Study the Vedanta Sutra? Acyutananda, would you like to begin?
Religion includes four primary subjects: pious activity, economic development, satisfaction of the senses, and four, liberation from material bondage, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Religious life is distinguished from irreligious life of barbarism. Indeed, it may be said that human life actually begins with religion. The four principles of animal life, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, are common both in the animals and human beings, but religion is the special concern of human beings. Since human life is no better than animal life without religion, in real human society, there is some form of religion aiming at self-realization and referring to one's eternal relationship with God.
A quick question. We see that it's very common in Vedic culture for people to know about dharma, karma, artha, and dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but it seems like not everyone's conscious of prema, pumartha, mohan, that the fifth and topmost goal is developing love of Krishna. Is that because most of the Vedas that people read are in the lower modes of nature, and prema, pumartha, mohan is found only in the higher Vedas?
Yeah, that is the fifth. That's why Vedanta Sutra really ends with moksha. Even when Ramananda Roy, Lord Chaitanya says, speak more, speak ehavacha, ehavacha. He even says, Ramananda Roy quotes, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamikam Sharanam Brajaham Tvam Sarva Papeva Moksha Yishamima. The Lord Chaitanya says, that's external. Say something real. So even that is not enough. So until there's love, then moksha is not even desired.
Really great to have you here, Sarvani. Thank you so much for joining us.
That's why we're going to also Thursday, Friday is the full moon and is the beginning of Chaturmasya. But
Yeah.
then the end of that will be Kartik, and we sing Nahang Deva Moksha Na Moksha Vadima. No one moksha. When there's prema bhakti, then moksha. What is that? Someone can find the verse. Moksha for a devotee. Moksha is standing at the door with their hands folded, saying, "Can I do anything for you?"
Right.
We have moksha right now that we have the time to do this. What do you think other people? What do you think other people are doing now on a Wednesday night or Friday night? They're just worrying about Monday. They're worried about their work and their this and their that. And they're not. But we are liberated to have the time. We could just meditate on Brahman, or we can discuss Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes. So we have that liberation to have this time afforded by Gorodas and Zoom.
When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, remember there was a verse, I think it says, with Moksha, he changed the word for bhakti.
I was with a group of Ritwiks. I said, see, he changed the books. Look at that. He changed the book. How? But then Lord Chaitanya gets him off the hook.
Yeah.
After, I'll explain for the people who just came. Sarvabhauma became a Vaishnava and became full of Krishna consciousness, Krishna prema. And there's a verse about mukti, liberation, but he changed it to bhakti. And then Lord Chaitanya said, okay, you can't change, but mukti means mukunda. So that's the name of Krishna. So you're okay. He got him off the hook. He reinterpreted it because Lord Chaitanya could make any word be Krishna. In Jiva Goswami's grammar, that Vyakaran, he says consonants are, vowels are Krishna because they can stand independently. All the consonants are Radha because they depend on Krishna. Consonants depend on vowels. You can't say any consonant without some vowel. So all the vowels are Krishna, all the consonants are Radha. Drink of water.
Welcome, Sarvani, Prabhu. Thank you very much for joining in.
Been trying to get Kriya on, Kriya Shakti.
Yes.
We couldn't get on with the link on the Facebook page. So I went, yeah, for some reason, she's still trying to get on. So.
Okay. Glad you made it.
There was a statement of, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that Siddhanta Prabhu did a great interview with Kriya Shakti.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have known about her if it wasn't for Siddhanta Prabhu.
I've known her for 40 some odd years, so I know about Kriya.
Wow. Old pal of yours.
She was in San Diego, the new Brahmacharini.
Hey, Kriya Shakti coming. Sorry, you knew her as a Brahmacharini?
Yeah.
When she first joined.
She's lived with me over the years, off and on, so we're very close.
Yeah, I think she's just honing in right now. Kriya Shakti joined at the same time you did, Sarvani?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's somewhere around there, early 70s.
Okay.
Okay, am I on?
There you are, Kriya.
Yes,
Here I am.
You made it.
We hear your
I
voice.
froze up.
Welcome to the Sangha, Kriya Shakti, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have you.
Hi, Bo. Hari. Hey, am I frozen? I look like I'm frozen.
Yeah, you look like you're very focused on the screen.
I think that's called frozen. How do I fix that?
Gee, we don't have Shikarani here. She's our tech expert. She could say, do you remember? Oh, did you disappear, Kriya Shakti? She went away temporarily. Hopefully she'll come back. So Acyutananda Prabhu, you said maybe someone can find the quote about how moksha stands at the door. So here, Srila Bilvamangala Thakur said, if I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. And as far as liberation is concerned, I think liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me, to serve me. Okay, let's see. To pure devotees, therefore, liberation and spiritual emancipation are not very important things. But I really liked how you just brought it home, Acyutananda Prabhu, saying that actually we're liberated right now. We're liberated just to come together and hear and chant the Shastras together.
Yeah, I was at Krishna House and this student asked about liberation, and it was a Friday night. I said, you know what's going on now, Friday night? They're getting drunk to recover from a week of work. That's what's going on out there. We're liberated to come here and talk about Krishna. So liberation is already out the door. Is at the door.
Nice.
With a few clicks.
The other day I was reading, Srila Prabhupada was saying that if you come to the platform of devotional service, which we're doing right now, Harikatha, that's liberation. We're acting in a platform of liberated from these three modes. And in reference to what Acyutananda Prabhu was saying before too about Dharma,
Artha, Kama, Moksha.
The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that's when Lord Krishna says at the end, Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mamekam Saranam Vraja, to abandon all that. That's the religiosity.
So that's why prema, as you pointed out, is more than we. If you have prema, you automatically are liberated. And if you just go for strive for liberation, you can lose it and again fall down.
Siddhanta Prabhu, do you have any Prabhupada stories for us yet, or shall we continue reading?
Yeah, I had to take another call, so I'm not sure what you were talking about. So go ahead, read.
Okay. So, okay, it's my turn. In the lower stage of human civilization, there is always competition between men in their attempt to dominate material nature. In other words, there is continuous rivalry in an attempt to satisfy the senses. Thus, driven by sense gratificatory consciousness, men enact religious rituals. Thus, pious activities and religious functions are performed with an aim to acquire some material gain. And if such material gain is obtainable in another way, this so-called religion is neglected. This can be seen in modern human civilization, since the economic desires of the people appear to be fulfilled in another way. No one is interested in religion now. The churches, mosques, and temples are practically vacant, for people are more interested in factories, shops, and cinemas. Thus, they have deserted the religious places erected by their forefathers. This is evidence that religion is generally performed for the sake of economic development, and economic development is required for sense gratification. When one is baffled in his attempt to attain sense gratification, he takes to the cause of salvation in order to become one with the supreme whole. All these activities arise with the same aim in view, sense gratification. The thought that just came to me was, perhaps this is one of the reasons why Srila Prabhupada was so down on materialistic science, because material science creates more facility for karma, right? For sense gratification.
That's why someone once asked Prabhupada, well, why do I have to believe in God? Can't I just be a good person? He said, you will go to hell. And then this great, he passed away, Christopher Hitchens, he was saying, well, there has to be God for there to be any kind of decency and morality. Oh, well, I think people are naturally good. No, they're not. They're only good because we would say this in business. You know, in business, we say, always ask yourself what any young girl should ask herself. Why is this man being so nice to me? So the only reason people are anyway civilized is to get sense gratification. Once they get the sense gratification, And they never are satisfied. So then they go, okay, get me out of here. Let's take some drug or go to some meditation, or it's what Prabhupada calls spiritual suicide. Also in that list of cinemas and factories in the Bhagavatam, he gives a list, and he also puts in, and libraries.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Building houses of prostitution and gambling and libraries. He lumps them all. It's hilarious.
In another place in the Chaitanya and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada explains that we can use everything in Krishna's service: typewriters, automobiles, missiles. And when I first read missiles, what's Prabhupada talking about? What's your understanding of that?
I understand it. What?
Using missiles in Krishna's service.
Well, because in Kurukshetra there were Brahmastras, and
Okay.
Ramachandra used the Brahmastra to kill Ravana.
Okay. No, I was thinking in contemporary times, like, who's got a missile in their backyard?
Well, in the White House, there was a big tower in New York. It said Bell Telephone, but it had no windows. And the rumor was in New York that there was a missile in there.
Krishna Chandra Prabhu, it's your turn, and then Siddhanta Prabhu after that. I'm just going through the row as it appears on the screen.
Jai.
Okay, I just finished there.
In
In the Vedas.
In the Vedas, the four primary subjects mentioned above are prescribed in a regulative way so that there will not be undue competition for sense gratification. However, Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental to all the sense gratifying activities of the material world. It is a pure transcendental literature, understandable by the devotees of the Lord who are above competition in sense gratification. In the material world, there is keen competition between animals, men, communities, and even nations in an attempt to gratify the senses. But the devotees of the Lord are above all this. Devotees have no need to compete with materialists because they are on the path back to Godhead, back home where everything is eternal, full, and blissful. Such transcendentalists are 100% non-envious and are therefore pure in heart. Because everyone in the material world is envious, there is competition. The devotees of the Lord are not only free from all material envy, but they are also kind to everyone in an attempt to establish a competitionless society with God in the center.
Siddhanta Prabhu.
Okay, I have a story. If we can just go back to the last topic.
Yeah.
About
Story time.
Wars. This is a recent one from Ravindra Swarup, who mentions about Prabhupada discussing about wars. He says when one demon is fighting another demon, then there's no benefit there because whoever wins is still a demon. But if you have the demons fighting the devotees, then it's a good war. Because if the devotees win, then a devotee is leading everything.
The war, and one side is devotees, and the other side is demon. Then that's Krishna consciousness.
He said that's Krishna consciousness when you have devotees or demons fighting devotees.
And so he was really talking about, when we had the Endorsed.
Anyway, small little story there.
That's just from your interview that you just did when you went to New York.
Yeah, just last Saturday.
Oh,
or
okay,
Friday.
wow. We're getting a fresh nectar, Sarvani, hot off the press. not even in the book yet. Not even on the little
it's unpublished yet.
Not even published.
Yeah.
How
so that's a war story.
You heard it first here at the Acyutananda Prabhu and Friends broadcast. Okay.
Okay, so back with the book.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next paragraph, the socialist idea.
Okay, the socialist idea of a society devoid of competition is artificial because even the socialist states there is competition for power. It is a fact that the principle of sense gratification is the basic principle of materialistic life. And this can be realized either from reading the Vedas or simply from observing common human activities. The Vedas recommend fruitive activities by which people can advance to higher planets. And they also recommend worship of the various demigods for the purpose of attaining their planets. Ultimately, the Vedas recommend activities by which one can reach the absolute truth and realize his impersonal feature in order to become one with him. However, the impersonal aspect of the absolute truth is not the last word. Above the impersonal feature is the Paramama or the Supersoul, and above that is the Supreme Personality. Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the personal qualities of the absolute truth, qualities which are beyond the impersonal aspect. Topics concerning these qualities are greater than topics of impersonal philosophical speculation. Consequently, Srimad Bhagavatam is given higher status than the Jnana-kanda portions of the Vedas. Srimad Bhagavatam is also greater than the Karma-kanda and Upasana-kanda portions as well, because it recommends the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the divine son of Vasudeva. The Karma-kanda portion of the Vedas is fraught with competition to reach heavenly planets for better sense gratification. And this competition is also seen in the Jnana-kanda and the Upasana-kanda portions. Srimad Bhagavatam is above all of these because it aims only at the supreme truth, the substance or root of all categories.
Acyutananda Prabhu, what's the difference between the Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda? Is Upasana Kanda worship?
Upasana is all the rules and regulations of worship of all the different demigods. Oh my God, it's a body of work. Karma Kanda is how to do charity, how to receive. Patana Patana Yajana Yajana Parigrihadana. If one studies, he can teach. If one does sacrifice, he can receive the benefits of that. And if one does charity, he is eligible to receive charity. And a lot of West, they don't know that. That if you get some money, you have to use it properly. Otherwise, even the Marwari businessman in Calcutta told me, he said, you get some bad money, in 10 years, it'll be gone with interest.
Huh.
They know that. So
Wow.
they will give charity like anything. They're the most charitable people.
But bad money meaning money which is procured from an illegal method?
Yeah. Say you tell somebody the wrong price or use false weights, you know, the profit you get from that will be lost. And there was a man sitting under a Kalpa Vriksha tree, and Narad Muni comes by and says, you know, this is the Kalpa Vriksha tree you're sitting under. Whatever you think of, you'll get. He says, yeah, if I think of a pot of gold, and boom, pot of gold came down. He says, whoa, I better be careful. I better be careful because I could think of a tiger, and then this tiger came down and ate him. So I have to know. So, and I've said this before, there were gentlemen that would come to the temple like this in the back of the room. What do we have here? And I know they were going to, and they would give big donations. So they would go to pundits and Brahmin pundits in the Karma Kandiya section and say, oh, I got this money, I got some profit, I made a big profit, even properly. And the Brahmin will instruct them, well, 10% of that should be given to a genuine Sukriti thing to. Who is it? Is it Murari Gupta? Kolavecha Sridhar in Mahabharata. He would sell, you can make all kinds of things from bananas, banana trees, cups, thing and bananas, and he would sell that and give half every day to worship the Ganges. He became a disciple of Lord Chaitanya.
There's this saying, be careful about what you wish for because it may come true.
It comes true. So you have to know that this wish is just for me, but then it may be milk touched by lips of a serpent.
And so,
But that's still going on, and how to do business properly. But they probably forgotten all that because, like we said, now in India they're dumping toxic waste into Ganges and Jamuna.
so karma kanda then isn't so much worship of demigods; it's more doing rituals.
No, karma kanda, upasana kanda is ritual. How to do how to say mantra, how to worship the deity, how to install a deity, how to, marriage yagyas, all the paraphernalia and what's called tantra, the methods of worship. Karma kandi is how to do charity. I'm giving just one example. And then there are cheaters also in that. They'll say, oh, if you don't do this, you'll be reborn. And oh, you just had a child. Well, that child is his grandmother. So his daughter and your son should be married and they make up all this stuff. Oh, this happened to you because you killed a donkey or a cow sometime. And there are cheaters in that line also now.
Nirhari Prabhu, you're up next. Will Bhavatrini read after you, or is it not convenient for her?
She must follow her husband. See, that's karma kandi.
Okay. Nirhari?
We're not there.
Nirhari Prabhu, are you there?
Sorry, my phone, my mic was off. In other words, from Srimad Bhagavatam, we can know the substance as well as the relativities in their true sense and perspective. The substance is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, and their relativities are the different forms of energy which emanate from him. Since the living entities are also related to his energies, there is nothing really different from the substance. At the same time, the energies are different from the substance. In the material sense, this conception is self-contradictory. But Srimad Bhagavatam explicitly deals with this aspect of simultaneous oneness and difference. This philosophy is also found in the Vedanta Sutra, beginning with the Janmadhyasya Sutra. Knowledge of the simultaneous oneness and difference found in the absolute truth is imparted for the well-being of everyone. Mental speculators mislead people by establishing the energy of the Lord as absolute. But when you move it, it's really hard to read. But when the truth of simultaneous oneness and difference is understood, the imperfect concepts of monism and dualism cease to satisfy. By understanding the Lord's simultaneous oneness with and difference from his creation, one can immediately attain freedom from the threefold miseries inflicted by the body and mind, by other living entities, and by acts of nature. Adhyatmik Adhivodi Kadi David.
Bhavatrini, are you there?
Where?
From the top.
Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the living entity unto the absolute person. This surrender is made with clear consciousness and awareness of the devotee's oneness with the absolute, and at the same time of his eternal position of servitorship. In the material conception, one thinks himself to be Lord of all he surveys. Consequently, he is always troubled by the threefold miseries of life. As soon as one comes to know his real position in transcendental service, he at once becomes freed from all these miseries. The position of servitor is wasted in the material conception of life. In an attempt to dominate material nature, the living entity is forced to offer his service to relative material energy. When this service is transferred to the Lord in pure consciousness of spiritual identity, the living entity at once becomes free from the encumbrances of material affection.
Sarvani, would you like to read a paragraph?
Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentary on Vedanta Sutra made by Vyasadeva when he had attained maturity in spiritual realization.
Can you read a little bit louder? You sound like you're a long, far way.
Oh, okay. Shall I read it over or just start from where I am?
Yeah, do you mind reading it over? Because this is being recorded on Zoom. Others will be listening.
I'm so sorry. Over and above this, Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentary on Vedanta Sutra made by Vyasadeva when he had attained maturity in spiritual realization. He was able to write it by the help of Narada's mercy. Vyasadeva is also an incarnation of Narayana, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no question about his authority. Although he is the author of all Vedic literature, he specifically recommends the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. In other Puranas, various methods for worshiping demigods are mentioned, but in Srimad Bhagavatam, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead is mentioned. The Supreme Lord is the total body, and the demigods are different parts of that body. Thus, if one worships the Supreme Lord, he need not worship the demigods, for the Supreme Lord is in the hearts of all the demigods. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distinguished Srimad Bhagavatam from all other Puranas by recommending it as the spotless Purana.
I have a question. So we understand here that Srila Vyasadeva is an incarnation, and my understanding is that is a Shakya Vesh avatar incarnation. So sometimes Sri Dhanvantari is described as being a partial incarnation, and I'm just wondering, like, are they both Jiva Tattva?
It's a Chinta Veda Ved because everybody Sarvasya Jaham Hriti Sannivishtu Mataspriti Ganamapona Vedeskya Sarvaira Hameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit. I'm the author of the Vedas. That's Veda Vyas. So I am him. They're one and different and non-different. That's why these are good words in English. So we don't say they're the same, but they're non-different. It's a very good thing, which I think Prabhupada came up with that version of English. It's very important.
So what's the
non-different doesn't mean the same.
So what's the difference then between the incarnation of Vyasadeva and the incarnation of Sri Dhanvantari?
Vyasadeva doesn't dance with the gopis.
Well, neither does Sri Dhanvantari.
Or Parsuram or Buddha, oh boy, or Matsya, or yeah. So, but they're non-different because that's his specialty of his literary incarnation. I think Prabhupada says literary incarnation of Krishna.
And Sri Dhanvantari would be the medical incarnation of Sri Krishna.
Oh.
Is that right?
Oh.
Sri Dhanvantari.
No, he's demigod.
Sri Dhanvantari. I remember reading he's one of the incarnations of Krishna.
Incarnation? Okay.
Dhanvantari, yeah.
Yeah.
Dhanvantari. Okay, you said something before. Sri Dhan.
Yeah, Sri Dhanvantari.
Yeah. No, I was thinking the Ashwini Kumars, there's twins, are also the medical, they're the doctors for the demigods.
Uh-huh.
But Dhanvantari, no, he's Shakti.
Nandapatni Prabhu. Did we read this paragraph yet? Does anyone recognize it? Yeah, we read this one.
Yeah.
Okay, the method.
Yeah. The method by which the transcendental message is received is the method of submissive hearing. A challenging attitude cannot help one receive or realize the transcendental message. Therefore, in the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the word shushrushu is used. This word indicates that one should be anxious to hear the transcendental message. The desire to hear with interest is the primary qualification for assimilating transcendental knowledge. Unfortunately, many people are not interested in patiently hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application difficult. Those who are unfortunate will find time to hear ordinary social and political topics, but when they're invited to attend an assembly to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, they're reluctant to attend. Sometimes people indulge in hearing portions of Srimad Bhagavatam, which they're not prepared to hear. What? Sometimes people indulge in hearing portions of Srimad Bhagavatam, which they are not prepared to hear. Professional readers of the Bhagavatam indulge in reading the confidential portions dealing with the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. These portions appear to read like sex literature. However, Srimad Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the beginning, and those who are fit to assimilate the messages of Bhagavatam are mentioned in the very beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam 112. A bona fide audience fit to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is generated after many pious deeds. An intellectual person can believe in the assurances of the great sage Vyasadeva and patiently hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam in order to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One need not struggle through the different Vedic stages of realization, for one can be lifted to the position of Paramahansa simply by agreeing to hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam with patience. The sages of Namasharanya told Sutta Goswami that they were intensely desirous of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. They were hearing from Sutta Goswami about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they were never satiated by these discussions. People who are really attached to Krishna never want to stop hearing about him.
Priya Shakti, are you able to read, or I mean, some people can listen if they don't want to read.
Yeah, this exact thing happened in India. A Hindu gentleman became life member, and we gave him the Krishna book. We said, this is the 10th canto, full, translated by Prabhupada. And he opened it up to the table of contents. And he's turning and going down. Oh, this is Krishna's Ras here. And he went right to there. He went right to there. Went right to the Panchadhyayas. This is Krishna's Ras. So it is known like that. And when they do this Sapta Bhagavatam readings, they'll do in the first day, they'll cover the whole 9 cantos. Then they'll spend the rest of the time making up that. And I heard them, and it's terrible. This is why Advaita Acharya had to call for Mahaprabhu to come down. Yanilo Premadana Karuna Prachur, who brought down Lord Chaitanya. When we hear about Navadvip 500 years ago, it sounds like Satyuga. What was the need of an avatar then? Because they were corrupting the Bhagavatam so terribly. They would make it into stand-up love poetry, and here Prabhupada says sex poetry, sex literature. It was horrible. Would have been lost.
I have a story.
Hey.
Hi.
Oh,
Story time.
okay. In relationship to what we were just talking about here, this is a Hari Sari telling that he says, when we were in Bhubaneswar in late January and early February of 1977, 2 or 3 movie makers came. They told Srila Prabhupada that they were making a movie and that they wanted to popularize Krishna's pastimes. They said, Hare Krishna is becoming popular, and we want everybody to know about Krishna. We want to show Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. Since you are the guru of the Hare Krishna movement, we would like to get your blessings for making this movie. And in the movie, we'd like to also to offer you our humble thanks for popularizing Krishna's pastimes. Prabhupada immediately told them, no. Prabhupada said, why do you immediately jump to Krishna's pastimes from the 10th canto? Nobody will understand. They will take it as mythology when Krishna kills the Trinavarta whirlwind demon or whatever other pastimes. They said, but Swamiji, everybody in India is a Krishna Bhakta. As it happens, the evening before, Prabhupada had a conversation with an educated Indian man who asked, who is Krishna? Prabhupada had been shocked and chastised that man, saying, you are born in India and you do not know who Krishna is? Prabhupada mentioned this conversation in his evening lecture, also by saying, here we are in Bharat Bhumi, but now people are so degraded that they're asking, who is Krishna? So when these filmmakers said, oh, but Swamiji, everybody in India is a Krishna Bhakta, Prabhupada said, you say that they're Krishna Bhaktas, but last night a guest asked me, who is Krishna? Then Prabhupada said, why don't you first make a movie of the first canto and then go progressively through the Bhagavatam and do the 10th canto at the end? But of course, they wanted the 10th canto, Krishna with the gopis. And they were simply trying to capitalize on Prabhupada's popularity by advertising, oh, this movie is approved by Bhaktivedanta Swami. But they could not get an endorsement from Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada would not budge an inch, even after they brought up various arguments for about a half an hour. Prabhupada said, if you make one movie of the first canto, then we'll see.
Wow.
Yay.
And I would like to, while I'm here, let me just make one other thing before I forget. Acyutananda Prabhu was talking about karma kanda and various rules and things to do and whatnot. Here's I guess, kind of a spiritual, if there is such a thing as spiritual karma kanda, I think. This is Burijan saying that Prabhupada was in Tokyo for his own Vyasa Puja in 1970. The ceremony wasn't done to his satisfaction, so he instructed Tamal Krishna how to organize it properly, and he allowed us to do it a second time the next day. One thing I remember from those instructions was that the most senior person should offer the artik to Prabhupada. Another thing I remember was the order in which Prabhupada had us offer the flowers to him at his lotus feet. It was sannyasis first, then householders along with their wives, and then brahmacharis. That was how he explained the proper order for offering flowers. And he specifically said householders with their wives. Who knew?
Very good.
The end.
Is that for
Remind me-
all
Brahmachari
festivals
is
where-
by
Reminds me of the story in Ramayana when Lord Ramachandra was advised by this guru that you can't, if you're vanishing your wife, you might have a deity of hers. So in the comment is, I think Prabhupada mentioned this, that it's very important that the grihastas, especially during practicing sacrifice, it will be with their wives. It'll be something they do together.
Otherwise, what happens?
It's an incomplete sacrifice.
Oh,
You won't be able to attain the result, the desired
see.
result.
That reminds me of that. There are so many versions in Puranas of the Brahma sacrifice. And Saraswati was not there, and so he had to get someone else. Sati had to come, but someone had to be there to be with him. Saraswati refused. And there are many versions of that. Finally, Sati, Parvati, Himavati, there's many names, but Daksha insults Shiva, he jumps into the fire, and then there's a whole, many versions of that. There are about, let's see, 9 plus 10, 19 expansions of Durga, and they all killed, they all started by killing Maheshasura, the buffalo Asura. Have you seen that Durga painting? Okay. Prabhupada explained this to me in Durga Puja in Calcutta in 67. You've seen she's riding on sometimes a tiger, sometimes a lion, with a trident, and she's killing the buffalo. And then the lion is also killing the buffalo. And then out from the buffalo's head comes the demon's head. And then she finally kills him with her trident. And Prabhupada said, this means like the jivas are changing their bodies. And Maya is there with the Trishul, to torment them with the three miseries, Adhyatmik, Adhibhautik, Adhidevik. She's there to punish them in the three modes, in the three kinds of sufferings. That's the meaning of this image that we have of Durga killing Mahishasura. Mahisha means buffalo.
Why does Kali look so ferocious with her mouth open and with all the skulls around her?
That's also Prabhupada told that. That's like the snapshot. So there was a Raktasura who, every time you cut him, every time a drop of blood would fall to the ground, 1,000 more Raktasuras would appear. And every time you cut any one of them, the drop of blood would fall on the battlefield, and more Rakshasas would appear. Like a virus, they went viral, and it was contagious, and the demigods couldn't handle all this. I mean, how do we kill him? Every time we try to cut him, there's 10,000 more. So they went to Shiva. They said, your wife likes blood, we know. So can she help? So she spread her tongue over the whole battlefield and drank up all their blood.
Wow.
And she became drunk. She became drunk on blood. She started to turn on the demigods, and they said, Shiva, stop her, stop her. And so he lies down in front of her path, and she steps on him and goes, ah. This is sign for shame.
Oh.
In Vedic culture, to stick out your tongue, ah. And I've stepped on my husband. And that stopped her
Wow.
madness. That sobered her up.
Thank
So
you.
that's the image that we have of Tamagun and destruction being stopped.
Awesome. I was wondering about.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was wondering about that. I've seen that poster, that image of Durga stepping on Lord Shiva, and I've forgotten the story. But interesting, people might say, when I mentioned the Sitas, where every sacrifice Lord Ramachandra performed, he had a golden deity of Sita Devi. And Srila Narayan Maharaj explains how all those Sitas, what do you think it happened to them? They became gopis next life, next time, in the next past. And what? In Braj Bhumi, in Boma Vrindavan. There you go.
There she is. You can also look up the Dasa Mahavidyas. The Dasa Mahavidyas. There's one who looks very much like, two of them look like Kali, is Tara Devi, and others. And some of them are young and beautiful. Many different aspects of Durga. And Katyayani is to worship to get a husband, which the gopis worship. Katyayani Mahamayi Mahayogi Nyadeshwari Nanda Gopa Sute Devi. There's Katyayani. Can you enlarge her?
Trying.
Nanda Gopa Sute Devi, Pating Me Kurute Nama. And Narayan Maharaj actually added something. Upapati Kurute Nama. Make him my secret boyfriend. Pati means husband. Upapati means you are illegal. You are paramour. Paramour is Katyayani.
There's Mahavidya, Dasha Mahavidya.
And they're all aspects of Maya here. They're Matangi. Matangi is the dirty one. She will take even food that's been eaten on your plate. You can offer to her. She doesn't mind. That's for even lower class people who are not so educated. You offer to her. But there's also in the Karma Kandya, you offer to them, and step by step, the slow process that we just read, the slow process of going up higher and higher in the Vedic system. But by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, immediately you come to Prema Bhakti. Oh, there's Chinnamasta. Oh boy. That's a bloodbath. Chinnamasta is cutting off her own head. And three streams of blood. She's holding one of her head in her hand, and one of her helpers is by the side, and three streams of blood are fountaining out of her neck, and their drinks are, and she's standing on who? Kama and rati, lust and desire. So
Why
get
she
it?
chop? Why she?
Sex life means you're drinking your own blood. Not too subtle, pretty obvious there. So this is why the Hindu culture, they know this thing. It's fascinating to see all this wild images, but the teaching is there that if you have unrestricted sex, you're just drinking your own blood. It's Chinnamasta.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Kama and Roti, you mentioned?
Yes. That's
Roti, R-O-T-I?
Rati.
That's my Bengali accent. Roti.
Oh, okay.
Roti is what is a chapati.
And I know, that's what I was going to come to. I said, oh, I better call it chapati.
Rati is the consort of Cupid, Kandarpa, Madan.
So Rati is one of the emotions, isn't it? One.
Yes, this is the material Rati, and the material lust is Cupid, Kandarpa.
And then there is transcendental Rati, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Rati is interchangeable with Bhava many times. There's Chinnamasta.
Right. Ah, yes.
See, look at even their advertising for enemy protection. See? If you're a devotee of Krishna, nothing can harm you. We all know that. Krishna, Rake, Moreke, Krishna.
Mare Krishna Rakeke Rakeke.
Rakeke, Hare Krishna. So they sell amulets and they sell, and then the Brahmins will do a yajna for gold.
Onlinepuja.com.
Oh, yeah.
There's even one better, isn't it? Like the worship of my devotee is the highest.
Yeah.
And so the story of in Ramayana again, where this man commits some mistake, something, and Lord Ramachandra is after him. He said, I'll kill you tomorrow. So he runs to Hanuman. You know the story, Acyutananda Prabhu?
Say it again.
He runs to Hanuman.
You went mute.
Yeah, so he runs to Hanuman for shelter.
Okay.
And so he attains, he's spare, his life is spare.
There's another longer Hanuman story where there were three rishis on a platform, and he's supposed to give one to the other, and then you ever hear? I forgot that one.
Yeah, I can't remember that one there.
Yeah, somebody it'll come up.
Okay, Jivan Mukta, are you there, Prabhu?
Yes, he's there. I see him.
I am.
Oh, I'm just trying to find the page because I don't know where I went. Prabhupada books. Okay.
What about Kriya?
I asked.
Srimati Kriya Shakti?
I asked. She never responded. I've never heard a word from her.
Oh.
I don't even know if she can hear.
I think she unmuted herself for a while.
In the meantime, Jivan Mukta, would you like to read, please?
Sure. The Lord then recited many verses from authoritative scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Nisringa Tapani. In particular, he quoted the following verse from Bhagavad Gita. Ramabhuta prasanatma nasochati nakankshiti sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service.
This is parallel to the Atmarama verse, that Atmaramas who are liberated, they become devotees, they become attracted.
Mhm.
This verse and the Atmarama, this verse will stop any Mayavadi. May not convert him. If he's decent, he'll understand. If he doesn't get attracted or understand this, means he's a demon. Rakshasim Kalimasri to Jayanti Brahma Yonishu. No. That was a short one. Read on. That was a short one.
Read another one, Jivamuk. That was short.
When a person reaches this Brahmabhuta, Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20 platform, he sees all living entities equally and becomes a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. In the Nisringa Tapani 2:5-16, it is said that when a person is actually liberated, he can understand the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord and thus engage in his devotional service. Lord Chaitanya also quoted a verse from the second canto, Srimad Bhagavatam 2:19, in which Shukadev Goswami admits that although he was elevated to the liberated stage and free from the clutches of Maya, he was still attracted by the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Consequently, he studied Srimad Bhagavatam from his great father, Vyasadeva.
Is Kriya Shakti still here, Sarvani, or did she leave?
She's here.
No, I'm still here, but nobody can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
would you like
I-
to read
my-
Kriya Shakti?
my video makes my sound go strange, so I can't put the video on. I've got technical difficulties with that.
We hear you.
Try.
Please
Y'all
read.
can, all right. I just turned the video on, but I don't know what. All right.
It's
Okay,
working.
we're Lord Chaitanya. I have a question about going back a little bit. Kali, how is Calcutta named after Kali Cut? Kali's tongue. Acyutananda Prabhu, maybe you got that one, huh? Can you all hear me?
No.
Yeah. How did
Yeah, we can
Calcutta get its name from Kali?
Kali Cut, right? Kali's tongue.
Kali Ghat. It's a ghat that goes down to the Ganges. And oh boy, that's a whole that's a whole story.
I had
Okay,
heard something about
after Shiva first, okay, you know this asan, Birbhadra asan? You know, you
Yeah.
put your legs apart, like that. Okay, Shiva, when Shiva hears that Sati has jumped into the sacrificial fire, he doesn't go right away. He takes a lock of his hair out, throws it on the ground, and up one of his expansions comes up, who is Birbhadra. That means the obedient hero. And he's like this, like at your service. It's very good for straightening your hips and shoulders. But that asana. And shame on Mr. Iyengar Yogi for teaching this without teaching who this is. Yeah. So he goes first and he busts up the sacrifice, starts chopping away, and then Shiva comes. Then Shiva comes and takes the burnt body of his Sati Parvati on his shoulder and starts. He's mad now, and he's going around the universe. So they pray to Vishnu, stop him. Now we're going to have Vishnu stopping. So we have Shiva lying down, stopping Kali. Now we have the still body of Kali, and asking, the demigods are asking Shiva, asking Vishnu to stop Shiva. So he takes his chakra and he breaks up the body of Sati into 52 parts. And they fell to this earth in 52 places. They may have fallen other places in Bhumi, but there are 52 Shakti Peeths. One of them is in Jagannath Puri, Bimala Devi. That's why the Jagannath Pandits think that Jagannath is Shiva. And what Balaram and Subhadra are doing there, I don't know what they think. But many of the Pandits there are actually Shaktas and Shaivites. So the other one, Kali's finger fell at Kali Ghat. Now every September, new moon, the dark moon, Brahmins come and they now, this is wild stuff. So her finger is in a big box with, I heard 12. I heard this all from Bharati Maharaj. Bharati Maharaj. So in the Kali Ghat temple, there's a big box with 12 locks on it, and there are 12 Brahmins that have keys to each of those. So they blindfold themselves completely, because if anyone sees this finger, they'll go mad, go blind, or die. So in the dark, they open the 12 locks and they take out, and wrapped up in cordage, they take out and do puja to this finger. And the finger is as soft as a young girl. And it might be big. And so then they lock it up again, and they're finished, then they take it off. That's the Kali Puja. So Kali Ghat, Kolkata means, and the British said, oh, the Kali Ghat, we'll make it British. We'll make Mumbai. They're all also named after Mother Devi. Mumbai, we'll make that Bombay. That sounds more native. And Kanyakumari in the south, that is 16-year-old Virgin Durga. We'll call that Cape Comorin. We'll make that all British. Oh,
Right.
Terrible mischief. So I told you about Bhaktisiddhanta going to Cape Comorin, to Kanyakumari, with Sridhar Maharaj. And so Kanyakumari is at the tip of India, the south. And she's looking north. And there's a Shiva deity in the Himalayas, Dakshineshwar, and he's looking south. And so she is the virgin maiden expansion of Durga as a young girl, Shodeshwari. Shoda means 16. Aina, Hindi mein Shoda, Bangla Shoda, but Hindi Shoda, Shodas, 16. She's a 16-year-old girl, not married yet. And she's waiting for Shiva to come and take her to the Himalayas, and then she becomes Parvati, Himavati. Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapardini Shaila Sute. Singing all this Kali stuff is coming out of me tonight. But Bhaktisiddhanta goes there with Sridhar Maharaj and entourage, but he goes to the temple, and Bhaktisiddhanta says, the perverted mind of the public. This is not Durga waiting for Shiva. This is a gopi, a 16-year-old gopi looking up to north to Vrindavan, waiting for Krishna to come.
Oh.
And Sridhar Maharaj says, but Gurudev, it's for time immemorial, it has been a Durga temple. He said, they're wrong. It's not Durga, it is a gopi.
Wow.
And Sridhar Maharaj told me, he said, no one can understand the mind of the Paramahamsa.
Interesting that one of the names of Bhaktisiddhanta is Bimala Prasad, isn't it?
Yes, because he was born at that Jagannath temple. Many Vaishnavas have Shaiva names and Durga names, and many Vaishnavis, their wives are called, they're named after Devi. Because the Vaishnava and his wife are like Shiva and Shakti. They can be like that.
Bimala is another name for Durga?
Durga.
So the mercy of Durga, Bimala Prasad.
Yes.
Wow. I always wondered about that.
Yeah, Lalita is also one of the names of Durga also. Sri Chakraraja Singha Saneshwari, Sri Ambike, Lalite Bhuvaneshwari. These are all names. Lalita is also another gentle name of a gentle form of Durga. So Lalita Prasad probably didn't mean Lalita Saki. It meant Lalita Durga Lalita, and his other son Bimala, another Durga. Two sons named after him. Like Kriya
Kriya Shakti, are
Shakti.
you ready to go?
Oh boy, I'm afraid of her.
I'm afraid. Okay, I'm here, but I don't see. All right. Starting from Lord Chaitanya, right? Lord Chaitanya also quoted another shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15:43, dealing with the Kumaras. When the Kumaras entered the temple of the Lord, they were attracted by the aroma of flowers and tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord with pulp of sandalwood. Simply by smelling the aroma of these offerings, the minds of the Kumaras turned to the service of the Supreme Lord, despite the fact that the Kumaras were already liberated souls. It is stated elsewhere in Bhagavatam 1:7-10 that even if one is a liberated soul and is actually free from material contamination, he can still, without cause, become attracted to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Thus, God is so attractive, and because he is so attractive, he is called Krishna.
Why don't you finish the chapter, Kriya Shakti?
All right.
Is that the Atma Rama verse?
We're coming.
Is 1:7-10? Is
Yeah,
that the
it is.
Atma Rama?
It is.
Yeah.
In this way, Lord Chaitanya discussed the Atmarama verse from Srimad Bhagavatam with Prakashananda Saraswati. Lord Chaitanya's admirer, the Maharashtriya Brahmin, related that the Lord explained this verse in 61 different ways. Everyone assembled was very eager to hear the different versions of the Atmarama shloka again. And since they were so eager, Lord Chaitanya again explained the shloka in the same way that he had explained it to Sanatana Goswami. Everyone who heard the explanations of the Atmarama shloka were amazed. Indeed, everyone considered Lord Chaitanya to be none other than Krishna, Sri Krishna himself.
Acyutananda Prabhu, do you know how to explain the Atmarama verse?
I want to say just today, there, have you seen this? It's an ISKCON website or something called Radha.name.
Oh yes, it's been around for a while. Books. There's tons there. Yeah.
I never know. So today I saw the Sanat Kumar Sanghita. The four Kumara Sampradaya is their prominent acharyas Nimbarka, and they are devotees of Radha Krishna. And in that Purana, see, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Radha's name is never mentioned directly. There's Aradhita, but Sukadeva Goswami was inhibited because there were, YouTube cameras, and that's a hit. That's a secret joke. Yeah, but there were rishis and kings and kshatriyas all around. So he was inhibited. He did not mention. But in the other Puranas, in this Sanat Kumar Sanghita and other quoting verses from all kinds of Puranas, the name of Radha and Krishna and their Radha and Krishna Rasa Leelas are described also more than Bhagavatam. But Bhagavatam is Amala Shastri. It is, you have to go up in stages. So there, if you stop at one of the stages, somebody once said, well, why is there a discussion between Maitreya and Vidura talking about Jnana Misra Bhakti? Because if you stop there, but it is to bring, you have to know all the different stages of these other chapters, the other cantos, before you come to the 10th canto. That's why you can't read Bhagavatam in 7 days and say, I know it. That's a show. You know the story of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. There was a Bhagavat Saptaha, 7-day Bhagavatam reading, and afterwards they left. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji spread cow dung all over this place. What do you mean? They were reading Bhagavatam. He says, all I heard was money, money, money. Performance.
Even Lord, yeah.
But,
Lord Srila, oh, sorry.
No, Goro, you had a question first.
Oh, yeah, no, I asked if you know the 61 ways to explain the Atmarama verse. Can you do that?
Sure. No. They're in the, okay, oh, so they're not, okay, maybe in Chaitanya Charitamrita itself,
Yes.
verse by verse, it will be there. Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a detailed explanation.
Yeah.
And 32 of those Atmaramas are devotees, Krishna devotees.
Huh.
And but like you said, how can we explain it? I mean, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can do that.
But it is in Charitamrita verse by verse. This is a summary
Yes.
study. Just like Krishnadas Kaviraj, who said, because the Charitamrita is out of chronological order. Because Krishnadas Kaviraj always, I heard that he started writing it when he was in his 80s. So he didn't know if he would finish. So he put many, in the first chapter, you'll hear about Prakashananda Saraswati and Gambhira, because he didn't know if he would finish. So Prabhupada also says in the introduction to Krishna book, I like Krishnadas Kaviraj. I didn't know how long I would live to finish the Bhagavatam by cantos to 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th canto to come. So I wanted my disciples to see the face of Krishna. So I've written Krishna book in advance before finishing all the cantos of Bhagavatam. But then he did live on and translated the 9th canto and about 5 or more chapters of the 10th canto.
So since you were saying that Srimati Radharani's name is not mentioned in the 10th canto, so did Srila Prabhupada take the liberty to do that?
Yes.
I see. Siddhanta
Because
Prabhu,
we're not,
sorry.
Because we're not in the at the assembly of Maharaj Parikshit.
Okay.
So he can say, Prabhupada can say Radha.
Isn't there some story that he didn't say the name of Radha because he'd go into too much ecstasy and he wouldn't be able to go on?
There can be another. It is also.
Yeah, I mentioned that to you before. I heard this from Narayan Maharaj. That he said that yes, Sukadeva Goswami is no other than Radharani's parrot. His relationship is very intimate in a way. So if he would have heard Sukadeva Goswami or mentioned the name of Radhe, he would have gone into ecstasy. And Maharaj would say, 6 months later, he would have probably maybe come back.
Sikarani, would you like to do the honors of starting the new chapter?
Sure.
Chapter 24, talks with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya.
When Lord Chaitanya met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya at Jagannath Puri, Bhattacharya, being the greatest logicians of the day, also wanted to teach the Lord Vedanta. Since Bhattacharya was an elderly man, the age of Lord Chaitanya's father, he took compassion on the young sannyasi and requested him to learn Vedanta Sutra from him. Otherwise, Bhattacharya maintained it would be difficult for Lord Chaitanya to continue as a sannyasi. When the Lord finally agreed, Bhattacharya began to teach him in the temple of Jagannath. Bhattacharya lectured on the Vedanta Sutra continuously for 7 days, and the Lord heard him without speaking a word. On the 8th day, Bhattacharya said, "You have been hearing Vedanta Sutra from me for the past week, but you have not asked any questions nor have you indicated that I am explaining it nicely. Therefore, I cannot tell whether you are understanding me or not." "I am a fool," the Lord replied. "I have no capacity to study Vedanta Sutra, but since you asked me to hear you, I am trying to listen. I am simply listening to you because you said that it is the duty of every sannyasi to hear Vedanta Sutra. But as far as the meaning you are conveying is concerned, I cannot understand that. Thus, the Lord indicated that in the Mayavadi Sampradaya, there are many so-called sannyasis who, even though illiterate and unintelligent, hear Vedanta Sutra from their spiritual master just as a matter of formality. Although they listen, they do not understand anything. As far as Lord Chaitanya was concerned, he said that he did not understand the explanation of Bhattacharya not because it was too difficult for his understanding, but because he did not approve of the Mayavadi interpretation. When the Lord,
Siddhanta Prabhu, do you have any other stories for us before we continue on?
Not at the moment.
Okay. When the Lord said that he was an uneducated fool and could not follow the expositions, Bhattacharya replied, if you do not follow what I am saying, why don't you inquire? Why do you simply sit silently? It appears that you do have something to say. It appears that you do have something to say about my explanations. My dear sir, the Lord replied, as far as the Vedanta Sutra or the codes of Vedanta are concerned, I can understand the meaning quite well. However, I cannot understand your explanations. There's nothing really difficult about the meaning of the original Vedanta Sutra, but the way you explain Vedanta Sutra appears to obscure the real meaning. You do not elucidate the direct meaning, but imagine something and consequently obscure the true meaning. I think that you have a particular doctrine which you are trying to expound through the codes of Vedanta Sutra, Acyutananda Prabhu.
I want to say it again because it's so funny. Man walks in the forest and he sees arrows in some of the trees, right in a yellow bullseye. And he sees the man with the bow and arrow. He says, wow, you're a great shot. He says, well, I shoot arrows anywhere. Some of them hit the ones that hit the trees, I paint a yellow bullseye around them.
I'm trying to get the purport of that analogy.
Well, I'll ask you tomorrow. They're putting their own idea into the thing.
Okay.
Now let's see what that means. No, just read what Krishna's telling.
They start with a conclusion and then wrap the Vedic aphorisms around that. Try to anyway.
To fit their own meaning. And then, there's so many, that's the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. The person, a lady asked me what version, and said I could not recommend any version because they all try and put their own version.
Yeah.
The Maharishi Yogi, he has the Bhagavad Gita up to the 6th chapter, which describes yoga. And still, the last verse is Yogi Namapi Sadhavesha. What need of you to do all this? My bhakta is the greatest yogi. But I saw this big book, and it's only up to the 6th chapter of Gita. Because the rest of it, you'd have to explain bhakti. The 7th chapter is all about Krishna talking about himself. Starts describing himself.
Doesn't work for the Mayavadis.
No. People might catch on.
Srila Maharaj would explain that the beginning of the Gita, the first 6 chapters, is for karma yogis.
Mm-hmm.
The middle is for bhakti yogis, and the last 6 chapters is for jnana yogis.
Bhagavatam also. 10th canto is Krishna's face. 11 and 12 is the top of the head. And it summarizes everything for our understanding.
Would you like to read the next paragraph of Acyutananda Prabhu according to Muktika?
According to Muktika Upanishad, there are 108 Upanishads. Among these are Isha, Kena. Kena means why. Katha, speaking. Prashna, questions. Mundaka, Mandukya. This is misspelled. It should be Taittiriya. Aitariya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, Brahma, Kaivalya, Jabala, Swatashva, Hamsa, Aruni, Garbha, Narayana, etc. These 108 Upanishads contain all knowledge about the absolute truth. Sometimes people inquire about, look at that, there's typos in here, about
That's
the
because
meaning
we're
of these
the
108
unedited version.
about the meaning of these 108 prayer beads. But because we think there are 108 Upanishads which contain full knowledge of the absolute truth, therefore the 108 beads are accepted. Sometimes, on the other hand, the Vaishnava transcendentalists think of the 108 beads represent the 108 companions of Lord Krishna in his rasa dance, and therefore 108 beads are accepted. Look how, just like Sukadeva Goswami, Prabhupada doesn't say gopis. He's, put it back.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
What does he say? Companions?
Yeah, companions.
On the other hand, transcendental think of the 100 represent companions. Just says companions. Now he means gopi, but he doesn't say here, to be very polite, not to go up too much into gopi bhava yet.
He's being discreet.
Yeah. More?
Siddhanta Prabhu, you're sorry. Siddhanta's up next.
Yeah, okay. From Lord Chaitanya protested?
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya protested against misinterpretations of the Upanishads, and he rejected any explanation which did not give the direct meaning of the Upanishads. The direct interpretation is called abhidha vritti, whereas the indirect interpretation is called lakshana vritti. The indirect interpretation serves no purpose. There are four kinds of understanding called 1, direct understanding, pratyaksha; 2, hypothetical understanding, anumana; 3, historical understanding, aitiya; and 4, understanding through sound, shabda. Of these 4, understanding from the Vedic scriptures, which are the sound representations of the absolute truth, is the best method. The traditional Vedic students accept understanding through sound to be the best.
Jivan Mukta.
The stool and bone of any living entity are considered to be impure according to Vedic literatures. Yet the Vedic literatures assert that cow dung and conch shells are pure. Consequently, these statements are contradictory, but because cow dung and conch shells are considered pure by the Vedas, they are accepted as pure by the followers of the Vedas. If we want to understand the statements by indirect interpretation, then we have to challenge the Vedic statements. In other words, Vedic statements cannot be accepted by our imperfect interpretations. They must be accepted as they are. If they are not accepted in this way, there is no authority in the Vedic statements.
Chikani.
Did you say?
Sikarani.
Yeah. According to Lord Chaitanya, those who try to give personal interpretations to the Vedic statements are not at all intelligent. They mislead their followers by inventing their own interpretations. In India, there is a class of men known as Arya Samaj who say that they accept the original Vedas only and reject all other Vedic literatures. The motive of these people, however, is to give their own interpretation. According to Lord Chaitanya, such interpretations are not to be accepted. They are simply not Vedic. Lord Chaitanya said that Vedic statements of the Upanishads are like sunlight. Everything is clear and very distinct when it is seen in the sunlight. The statements of the Vedas are similarly clear and distinct. The Mayavadi philosopher simply covered the sunlight with the cloud of misinterpretation.
Acyutananda Prabhu, isn't it true that the Arya Samaj, they don't believe in the deity of Krishna?
No. They don't believe in any picture. I think
Yeah,
they're Jewish.
they don't believe in any deity.
They're what? They're Jewish.
No,
no.
they don't believe in
No.
any deity worship.
Oh,
They shall not have any graven image before them. I was at Haryana, Kurukshetra with Prabhupada, and there was some kind of conference of religions. And there were Buddhists there and other Mayavadis, and there was a Brahmo Samaj group there also, older gentlemen. And, you know, they were just, because India was occupied by Muslims and British, they thought, okay, the problem is that we have different deities. So let's stop all the temple, no forms. Hold on. They had the picture of their founder. That this is a picture of the founder of the Brahmo Samaj. This is not the founder. They tear it up. And it's crazy. So Prabhupada actually was asked at that meeting, well, is God all pervasive? And Prabhupada yelled, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanang Hridesha Arjuna Tishtate. And he said it with like a hammer. And the Brahmos liked it. They went harumph, you know. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana, Krishna, I'm situated in everyone's heart. So the Brahmos liked that. So he got through to them. But that was a big movement. And in North India, there's another area. Who are the ones that say, Dharma ki, Jai ho, Adharmaka, Nasho, Pranyo me, Sadbhavana ho, Vishwaka, Kalyana ho. There's a group that says that all over North India, and it says like 7 million people are following that line of some kind of Arya or Adi Dharma. They're called Adi Dharmas. And that's general Hinduism. And mostly they're following, they revived the deity and temple worship, of course, but for the sake of eventually merging into Brahman. But they love their deity worship and follow all the festivals. Many of them are mostly Ram Bhaktas. And also to be discreet, they don't want everybody to know about Krishna because you have to be advanced to know Krishna's Ras pastimes.
in Honolulu.
They stay with Vishnu.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
In Honolulu in 1976, Prabhupada said, Arya Samaj means one who knows his duty, how to do it in proper time. So Kshatri, his duty is to fight, to defend from the hands of the enemy. So he was declining to fight. And in a conversation in 76 in New York, in a room conversation, Prabhupada said, Arya Samaji means another edition of the Mohammedans. He says he's talking to some Indian man, and Prabhupada says, the Indian man says, there are about 150 Indian people, 30% of them are Arya Samajis. They don't believe in anyone except doing Prabhupada, second edition of Mohammedans. Arya Samaj means another edition of the Mohammedans, Indian men. Some are Shiva followers, Shaivites, Prabhupada. The Arya Samajis, they do not believe in God. So how they are Shiva followers? Hodgepodge. No Samajis, but hodgepodge. They don't know what is personality of Godhead. Just hodgepodge, opportunists. They have no value. Wow. Strong words from Srila Prabhupada.
Something in that other paragraph, it said those who give personal interpretation. That means their own personal interpretation, not the personality of Godhead interpretation of the Vedanta Sutra. Those who give personal interpretations, that means their own person. They're painting the target around the arrow. That's called eisegesis. Eisegesis is, exegesis is to the fancy words. Exegesis is to draw out the meaning that it says. Eisegesis means to put in your own, or to put in a meaning that you want to make it work for you.
Sarvani, you're next.
Lord Chaitanya then said that all the Vedic statements of the Upanishads aim at the ultimate truth, known as Brahman. The word Brahman means the greatest. And when we speak of the greatest, excuse me, we immediately refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all emanations. Unless the greatest possesses 6 opulence in full, he cannot be called the greatest. The greatest, who is full in 6 opulences, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, the Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as well. In Bhagavad Gita 10:12, Krishna is accepted by Arjuna as the Supreme Brahman, Param Brahma. The conceptions of the impersonal Brahman and the localized supersoul are contained within the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Krishna Chandra.
Whenever we speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we add the word Shri, indicating that he is full with 6 opulences. In other words, he is eternally a person. If he were not a person, the 6 opulences could not be present in fullness. If we say that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal, we mean that his personality is not material. Thus, in order to distinguish his transcendental body from ordinary transcendent material bodies, some philosophers have explained him as being impersonal from the material point of view. In other words, material personality is denied and spiritual personality is established. In Svetashvar Upanishad 3:19, it is clearly explained that the absolute truth has no material legs and hands, but in that scripture, it is indicated that he has spiritual hands by which he accepts everything offered to him. Similarly, he has no material eyes, but he does have spiritual eyes by which he can see everything and anything. Although he has no material ears, he can hear everything and anything. Having perfect senses, he knows past, future, and present. Indeed, he knows everything, but no one can understand him, for by material senses he cannot be understood. Being the origin of all emanations, he is the supreme, the greatest, the personality of Godhead.
And the Patni.
There are many similar Vedic hymns which definitely establish that the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person who is not of this material world. For instance, in the Hayashirash Pancharatra, it is explained that although in each and every Upanishad, the Supreme Brahman is first viewed as impersonal, at the end, the personal form of the Supreme Lord is accepted. A similar verse occurs in the Sri Upanishad. Hiranmayena patrena satyasapitam mukham tattvam pushan apavrinu satya dharmaya dristaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Please remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Is Upanishad 15.
Nitya Leela, we haven't heard from you tonight. This morning from you.
This verse indicates that everyone should engage in devotional service to the Supreme Lord, who is maintainer of this whole universe. Everyone is sustained by his mercy. Therefore, devotional service unto him constitutes the true religion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the eternal form of Acyutananda, and his effulgence is spread throughout the creation, just as sunshine is spread throughout the solar system. And just as the sun disk is covered, the glaring effulgence of the sunshine, the transcendental form of the Lord, is covered by the glaring effulgence called Brahmajyoti. Indeed, in this verse, it is clearly stated that the eternal, blissful, cognizant form of Supreme Lord is to be found within the glaring effulgence of the Brahmajyoti, which emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the personal body of the Lord is a source of a Brahma Jyoti, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14.27. That's the Lord is that's the impersonal Brahman is dependent on the Supreme Personality, is stated in Haya Sera Sirsa Pancha Rata, and in every other Upanishad or the Supreme Personality, any other Upanishad indicates the Supreme Absolute Truth is both impersonal and the personal eternally, but his personal aspect is more important than the impersonal one.
Okay, let's see who's next up. The Bhadavija Garanga Prabhu.
According to a mantra in Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato va imani bhutani jayante. This cosmic manifestation is but an emanation from the Supreme Absolute Truth, and it rests in the Supreme Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth has been called the ablative, causative, and locative performer. Thus, as a performer, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for these are symptoms of personality. As the ablative performer of this cosmic manifestation, all thinking, feeling, and willing come from him. Without thinking, feeling, and willing, there is no possibility of arrangement and design in the cosmic manifestation. Then again, he is causative, for he is the original designer of the cosmos. And he is locative, that is, everything is resting in his energy. These attributes are all clearly attributes of personality.
Does anyone know what the word ablative means? I'm not.
Icha Shakti, the will to perform something. It's called Icha Shakti. And by the way, just, oh boy, it's not Icha Shakti. It's not Acyutananda. It's Icha Shakti. There's a double cha in there. That's an alphabet. But I wanted to say, in the bank, Prabhupada also says, if there's counterfeit money, it doesn't mean we stop using real money. So a story in the bank, I came across obviously a counterfeit $20 bill. So I turned it in and I asked the security people, I said, do you study counterfeit money? They said, no, we study over and over again real money. And then when there's something fake, we can recognize it right away.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
That's excellent.
Sorry, Vita, say something?
I just said that's excellent. That really is a really good analogy.
Hari Prabhu, you're up. And
Okay.
Bhavatrini.
Sorry, I was having problems with the audio, and I'm back.
Jack.
Okay. In the Chandogya Upanishad 5.2.3, it is said that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead desires to become many, he turns over material nature. As also confirmed in Aitariya Upanishad 1.1, Sa Akshata, the Lord glanced at material nature, unquote. The cosmic manifestation did not exist before his glance. Therefore, his glance is not materially contaminated. His seeing power existed before the material creation. Therefore, his body is not material. His thinking, feeling, and acting are all transcendental. In other words, it should be concluded that the mind by which the Lord thinks, feels, and wills is transcendental, and the eyes by which he glances over material nature are also transcendental. Since his transcendental body is all his senses, body and all his senses existed before the material creation, the Lord also has a transcendental mind and transcendental thinking, feeling, and willing. This is the conclusion of all Vedic literature.
Why don't you read the next two, Bhavatrini? They're short. The next one's short.
Oh, okay. This word Brahman.
Yes.
Oh.
You muted yours. Yeah.
Okay, there it is. The word Brahman is found everywhere throughout the Upanishads. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are all taken together as the absolute truth. Brahman and Paramatma realization are considered stages towards the ultimate realization, which is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the real conclusion of all Vedic literatures. Thus, according to the evidence afforded by the various Vedic scriptures, the Supreme Lord Krishna is accepted. Okay, it's accepted. I lost the text, sorry. No, that text disappeared. There it is. Thus, according to the evidence afforded by various Vedic scriptures, the Supreme Lord Krishna is accepted as the ultimate goal of Brahman realization. Bhagavad Gita, BG 7:7, also confirms that there is nothing superior to Krishna. Madhvacharya, one of the greatest acharyas in Brahma's disciplic succession, has stated in his explanation to the Vedanta Sutra that everything can be seen through the authorities of the scriptures. He quoted a verse from Skanda Purana in which it is stated that the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atartha Veda, Mahabharata, Pancharatra, and the original Ramayana are actually Vedic evidence. The Puranas, which are accepted by the Vaishnavas, are also considered to be Vedic evidence. Indeed, whatever is contained in the literature should be taken without argument as the ultimate conclusion, and all these literatures proclaim Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Vedanta Prabhu, you've been quiet. Do you have any more Prabhupada stories for us? Siddhanta, or did Siddhanta check out?
Did he check out?
He's very punctual at 9:30 my time, 6:30 his time. He's gone. Listen, Kriya Shakti, we've all read twice except you. Would you like to read one more time and start this new chapter, and we'll continue from here next time?
Oh, it doesn't matter if you want to start with the new chapter next time. That's fine with me.
Okay, we can do that.
Whatever you'd like. To do.
Yeah, please, just so we can say we got started on chapter 25. We made a lot of progress reading tonight.
All
Personal
right.
and impersonal realization.
Okay, chapter 25, personal and impersonal realization. The Puranas are called supplementary Vedic literatures because sometimes in the original Vedas, the subject matter is too difficult for the common man to understand. The Puranas explain matters simply by the use of stories and historical incidents. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-32, it is stated that Maharaj Nanda and the cowherd men and inhabitants of Vrindavan are very fortunate because the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead full of bliss, engages in his eternal pastimes as their friend. Keep going.
Why not throw in one more for the road?
Okay. According to Svetasvatara Upanishad, the Apanipada Javano Grahita mantra confirms that although Brahman has no material hands and legs, he nonetheless walks in a very stately way and accepts everything that is offered to him. This suggests that he has transcendental limbs and is therefore not impersonal. One who does not understand the Vedic principles simply stresses the impersonal material features of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and thus incorrectly calls the Absolute Truth impersonal. The impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers want to establish the Absolute Truth as impersonal, but this is in contradiction to Vedic literature. Although Vedic literature has confirmed the fact that the Supreme Absolute Truth has multiple energies, the Mayavadi impersonalists still try to establish that the Absolute Truth has no energy. The fact remains, however, that the Absolute Truth is full of energy and is a person as well. It is not possible to establish him as impersonal.
Acyutananda Prabhu, I don't understand this point that the Mayavadi impersonalists still try to establish that the absolute truth has no energy. I thought the Mayavadis at least said that Brahman is energy, is the source of all energy. No?
Yeah, but that would be a guna. That would be a quality, and he's nirgun. They love that word when Krishna says, "I'm nirguna." Krishna has no qualities, so they would not even be shocked. But then they say, and here's where it confuses even the disciples of Prakashananda. Brahman has no qualities, but it's not shunya, it's not void. Well, then what is it? They can't say. They can say what it is not. Neti is their practice. So it is Buddhism. They say, no, it doesn't even have energy.
So I'm going to go and finish a couple of rounds right now, but I know some of you like to stay longer. It's different time on the West Coast. So should I make someone else a co-host? Because I discussed it with Shikarani. For those who want to stay on longer, I can make someone a co-host and then I'm free to leave and you can continue without me.
We're gonna have to excuse ourselves. I have to go take care of my car's in the shop.
We were going to make you the host, though. We were going to give you a promotion.
Okay, so Guru Purnima is on Friday, but you're actually speaking on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, tomorrow morning I do the Bangladesh thing.
Bhagavad-desh?
Bangladesh.
Oh, Bangladesh. Oh, yes. I'm doing that too.
It's a country. And then in the evening, the Guru Purnima festival starts, and there will be many Bhaktivedanta Swamis there.
And that starts at 3 in the afternoon.
Did you send out the link in the?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much Nirhari's in touch with you, so I don't know if you gave it to him or not.
No. I'm begging to have that association, but it's not happening. I've been punished.
Well, you keep leaving so soon. You keep running away.
Do you want me to? I can go to my email right now.
I have it.
Oh, good. Can you put it?
Do you have a pen and paper?
Why don't you put it in the chat box for everybody?
Hold on.
I don't know. I don't want to fiddle with these things here.
Okay.
Just 474.
We have pen and paper.
Ready?
You ready? 474.
060.
Okay.
4017.
Okay.
And the password is the password is numbers 108.
Just 108 or hashtag 108?
Just 108.
Okay.
Okay, for everyone.
Repeat.
Yes.
Can I repeat? 474-060-4017.
Okay, so I'm here. I've just gone into my email that I received from Acyutananda Prabhu. If anyone's interested in attending the Guru Purnima festival honoring Srila Vyasadeva and all gurus in our line, I've just put the meeting ID there for you. The passcode.
It flashed and then disappeared. So can you send it on Messenger or something like that?
I'm seeing it here. No, I'm seeing it right here.
Yeah,
and now I'm seeing it twice.
There it is.
Here it is.
What if you forward the email to him? Oh God. What if you forward the email to him?
Oh, he can't
get through.
You can't copy that? But I thought you've got all that information.
No, it's not
now.
complete.
Everybody, wait. Gora, why don't you forward the email to Nrihari?
In Facebook?
No, on email.
Well, I don't have his email. I've never done email with him.
Really?
Yeah.
But I get emails from you.
No, I've not done emails with Nrihari, Prabhu.
I can give you that.
I'll send
You
it to
can
you.
send me a messenger, Prabhu.
Look at
Yeah.
this. We have, see, just see, we have all this technology and you can't send a message. It's like that. No, it's like that here. We have Facebook and texting and emails and still you can't reach somebody.
So that
I
would be
forgot, I left my phone in the car, you know? Yeah, well, I've been calling all day, you know? I've been texting and emailing and calling and leaving messages.
So Sarvani, Dvija Garanga, Krishna Chandra, Shikarani, Nityalila, if any of you are interested in attending the Guru Purnima festival, it starts tomorrow. Well, my time, it's 3 p.m. So that would be noon for you, Sarvani, and noon for Dvija, 3 p.m. for Krishna Chandra, 3 p.m. for Shikarani. I'm not sure.
For us.
Huh?
9 a.m. for us, then
Hawaii.
for Hawaii.
9 a.m. for Hawaii.
So it's 9 a.m. for me.
My work
I
will
mean,
finish
and
till
I'm talking about the Bangladesh thing. Sorry. Disregard that.
You're on
I
at
just-
9, I'm on at 9:30. Just after you.
I finish at 4 o'clock EST, so
Yeah.
maybe.
Right. So anyway, I've put all the information there and I'll send it to you in your messenger, Hari Prabhu and Bhavatrini.
Jai, thank you.
There's a list. There's a list of all the speakers.
Oh, I sent it.
Yeah, but you have to adjust all that from London. That's London time.
Okay.
So that's another mathematical problem.
All right.
I'm upside down with London because I got invited to the Rupa conference. And yeah, we are like 12 hours away. 11 hours.
Okay, I'm going to Chanakapur.
I don't know why, because when I see the map of America, it has the 48 states and it has Alaska, and right next to Alaska, there's Hawaii. So why? You can't be too far away. It's on every map. So
What can we say?
there's Hawaii right there.
Right. 2,500 miles away from the West Coast.
They should change the map then.
Yes.
Yeah, they should do the flat Earth map.
Yeah, the flat
Yes.
Earth map probably work better.
Yes.
So what, you add like 5 hours for EST? Or
I don't know.
Bandavas, we have to now go.
I think I heard seven.
Dora, I just got it. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome, sir. Srila
I just got
Prabhupada.
it, Prabhu. Yeah, I got the link. Jai.
Hari Haribo.
Hari
Haribo.
See you on Friday or at Acyutananda's session at 5:40 tomorrow Eastern Standard Time.
Jai Ho.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Haribo.